Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Great to have you with me again. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you all about one of my favorite subjects. You guessed it, it's Microsoft Purview. I love Purview so much. It's great for all things compliance in Microsoft 365. So, what specifically we're going to be covering today? I'm going to be talking all about compliance assessments in the Microsoft Purview Compliance Manager area. This is going to be all about improving your compliance score within Microsoft Purview. It's going to be all about identifying the regulatory standards that you need to implement to comply with industry regulations, with internal policies for your organization. If you are trying to get accredited with bodies like ISO 27001, Cyber Essentials Plus, NIST, CIS benchmarks, that sort of thing, and there are a ton of these baked into Microsoft Purview, then this is the video for you. I'm going to take you through some examples, creating an assessment, looking at the controls, how you put them in place, things to watch out for. It's coming right up. So to start this process off, we need to be in the Microsoft Purview compliance portal at compliance.microsoft.com, and you need to be logged in with the appropriate level of privilege. In this case, I'm in as a global administrator. A reminder, as ever, to make sure that you're using privileged identity management or PIM so that you are not setting standard or standing privileges for users with elevated permissions. Always give them those just-in-time permissions. That's me off my soapbox though. Okay, so where do we go to set up these assessments? We go into the very first option on the left-hand panel, which is Compliance Manager. And as we can see in here, we have a couple of options that I want to show you. We have assessments and we have regulations. I'm just going to collapse that side panel to get us more screen space. I'm going to start by looking at regulations, and in here you'll see that we have a vast number of regulations included within the Compliance Manager area, 369 items to be precise. We can filter these by service, so if we want to get specific and have it filtered by Microsoft 365, we can do so. But we can have universally applied ones for Salesforce, Zoom, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, AWS, corporate sustainability. Let's just, for argument's sake, filter that by Microsoft 365. What else can we filter by? We can filter by role type. We've got admin as the one choice there, so we don't need to change anything there. Overarching regulation, we have any in here, but we can be very, very specific here in terms of the overarching regulation that we want to apply in our search, our filter for regulation standards. Now, what I don't particularly like about this is that it's not alphabetical. That's really not helpful at all, but I did want to have a look for ISO 27001 as an example, but they're not in alphabetical order. There's many different flavors of ISO, and the one I want is not necessarily jumping out at me. But there's EU GDPR, which is always one that we should all be very acutely aware of. You can tell I'm stalling for time here, can't you, when I'm trying to look for that ISO one that I want. Oh, here we go. That's the one. ISO 27001, the 2013 version, I'm going to filter by in this instance. Now, there is a 2022 version, which I can't see included in Microsoft 365 just yet, which surprises me a little, but maybe there's a good reason for that. Now, that's providing us with just one result. We've got to what we want quite quickly there by filtering. We can also filter by created by Microsoft or created by myself in this instance. Activation type, we can filter by inactive or active. In this case, it's inactive in my tenant. And availability by premium or included. Now, here's the real crux of things. You get 3 free premium templates available to you depending on your licensing position within Microsoft 365. I have full E5 licenses in here. After you've used your 3 free, you're going to have to pay for the additional ones, which might seem a little harsh, but to be fair, there's a lot of work goes into these standards, and they are worth it if they're going to be meaningful to your organization and help you to save time and effort and become compliant with these standards. So there we go. So we can actually create an assessment for this right from here if we want to. We can go ahead and do that right now from this area. But I'm going to just come out and I'll reset that filter just now, and we'll just have a brief scroll down and see what other things we've got in here. I mean, ISO is one of the best known industry standards throughout the world, obviously. There will also be things in here like Cyber Essentials, which relates to the UK. So we've got UK Cyber Essentials. And if you click onto these from here, actually, what you can do is you can drill in and get more detail here about what these regulations are going to do. If you create assessments from them, you're going to get controls that are applied, improvement actions for yourself, and Microsoft actions as well. So the control family here is any or Cyber Essentials. So depending on what you've selected there, you're going to have some different choices. If we expand that out, we can see within Cyber Essentials, for example, we've got 13 controls in here. So control access to data and services, implement data backup, protection from viruses. And if we click on the individual ones, we can drill down and get very granular detail on these. You can keep on going down and down. You can see how much detail has gone into these. So we can go back up to the top of the chain there. But if you apply these controls as part of Cyber Essentials, you're gonna get all of these things applied in your improvement actions. So your improvement actions, let's see what we've got here. Adopt security, technical, and administrative measures. That applies universally. So you can see these by universal or by otherwise. These all seem to be universal. Create data minimization policies as an example there. So, and we can see in the details, possible points managed by your organization, what the action type is and the action scope, and implementation, how to implement, and you get recommendations here on how Microsoft recommends that you do this. And in this instance, it's create automated policies to detect and support the handling of data minimization risks. What are the related controls, if any? You can see controls that contain this improvement action and the regulation impacted by each control. So really cool stuff indeed. Love this. So we can view Microsoft actions as well, if any. These are actions that Microsoft must perform on your behalf in relation to these controls and standards if you implement them. So they will be listed here and their status, if any. So details, we can see when these standards were last updated. The date there, the achievable points that will relate to implementing these, the created date, who by, the service that it relates to, and the overarching regulation. We can get some about details as well, which is really handy. It tells us all about Cyber Essentials here, that it's a cyber security standard introduced by the UK government that aims to provide organizations with practical and cost-effective solutions against the most common cyber security threats. Cyber Essentials helps organizations stay protected against the most common cyber threats and is suitable for all organizations. It is required for suppliers to central UK government who handle certain kinds of sensitive and personal information, This template includes the updates till January 2022 version 3.0. And you can click on more info here. If you click, there's always links on these here, and if you click on them, you'll be taken into the relevant website for that particular body. So right into Cyber Essentials here. What is it? Lots of detail there. Really cool. So we'll just go back. So absolutely awesome. Let's go ahead and create an assessment though based on one of these standards, and we can see it in action and how it all works. So we'll go back to the very top level of Compliance Manager, and we'll go into assessments, and I'll create a new assessment. So I have one there existing already. It's incomplete. It's in progress at 50%. I've got 17 out of the 869 improvement actions there completed. Microsoft are doing a bit better than me. They've got 685 out of 710 completed. It relates to Microsoft 365. So, but I'm going to go ahead and add an assessment here and go through this wizard. And we're going to select the regulation that we want. And again, we can search here. We can filter through supported services. So let's go Microsoft 365 and see what that does for us. Let's go ISO. Let's see what that returns for us. And again, I'm going to look for that, no sign of that 2022 one, which is interesting. So we'll pick on the 2013 one. And so that applies to four things. It's created by Microsoft, but it applies to Azure and Google and Universal and Microsoft 365. So let's save that. So it populates all of this detail for us once we've made our selection. The availability, it's a premium template. It's inactive at the moment. It's created by Microsoft, last modified and date created. Let's go next. Assessment name, I'm happy to leave this as it is. I think that's the best thing to do in this particular instance. We then can choose to use an existing group for the assessment group, or we can create a new group and name it accordingly. If we click drop down here, it usually gives you a good suggestion, ISO assessment. So I'll just accept that and click on the next. Select the services this assessment will apply to. And as ever, there's good learning content here. We can learn more about services as we go through. So if we open that in a new tab, I can include some useful links to this content for you in the description of the video. So this is going to apply to Microsoft 365. We can go in and we can add new services if relevant. And there's more learning content there, which we can grab and give you info about. I'm not going to change anything, and I'm going to leave this as the default services selection right here. Click on next, and we can review and finish. We've got our assessment. We can go ahead and create that, and it's going to go and submit that. It might take a few moments to do so, and then we should be able to see it start to do its thing. Okay, new assessment created. Click done to view your new assessment. Let's take a look. So it's been submitted and it's taken us right into the assessment, and we can see some things in progress already. We're at 45% of the assessment progress for this particular assessment. That's the progress. Your points achieved, so if we hover onto that, your points contribute to your compliance score based on controls managed by your organization. This will have an impact on your overall compliance score in the Compliance Manager. And Microsoft Managed Points achieved as well. So these contribute to your compliance score based on controls managed by Microsoft as a cloud service provider. We have the service progress here. We can view the service details. So if we click onto that, we get a little flyout tab there. And assessment progress is impacted by action implementation status across the service's constituent subscriptions. We can view the details of the service by clicking view. Okay, so got Microsoft 365. We can click view there, and it just gives us some details about what that is essentially. So there we go. Key improvement actions. We've got a little chart there. and then it's going to show us those listed there, the key ones that we need to focus on to begin with, so we can get cracking with these right away. We can enable domain member digitally encrypt or sign secure channel data as always. We can enable MIME sniffing safety feature, protect against potentially unwanted applications, and all sorts of good stuff. So, and we can get right into the. We can just see these from here, which we can't actually do anything from them there. But we can click to view all the improvement actions from there if we want to. Moving along, we can look at the controls, view the status of the controls for this assessment, grouped by family, so we can see how they're broken down by access control, asset management, communications, security, compliance, etc., etc., and so on and so forth. You can look at your improvement actions in their entirety, and had we clicked on that from the bottom of the progress page, this is where it would have taken us to. And from here, we actually can click on those individual improvement actions and see how we can implement said actions. So let's collapse that again. So this one I've randomly clicked on here, adopt security, technical and administrative measures to protect personal data. Very, very important indeed. We're going to get an overview here, the points it will achieve. You can assign the action to other administrators actually. So this is no small task for any organization. So you're going to need a team of compliance professionals and security professionals who are working together to implement these standards across your organizations as part of an effort to, first and foremost, any organization should be doing this to become more secure and more compliant. But the benefit of that is that you will become certified by bodies such as ISO and Cyber Essentials and things like CIS benchmarks and NIST and so on and so forth. So, but it's no mean feat at all. Don't underestimate the task in front of you to do this. This has to be very carefully and diligently planned. And it's going to take some time and effort, and you've got to be very aware of the impact that it's going to have on your end users. So, testing source, we can select the source type, whether it's manual or whether it's tied to a parent action. So you can click parent and link this to another standard that is going to be part of it. It's going to be rolled out as part of that parent item, as part of a set or a group, if you like. So, implementation status, it's going to show you the status. It's not available at the moment. We've not started. No date because we haven't started. How to implement. Now, Microsoft will give you instructions on how to implement. So in this instance, it recommends that your organization adopts security, technical, and admin measures to protect. So it goes on to give you instructions on how you do it. There will be some instances across not just the compliance portal, but also the security portal as well for your secure score, where there'll be instances where you can automatically be directed to the controls that you need to turn on or off or implement. So some of these will be, you will see a manual or parent here. In some instances, you may see automatic here as well. And you can go and implement those without having to go and follow a set of instructions. We can edit the implementation details here. And you can update your status to not implemented, implemented, an alternative implementation, because let's face it, there are going to be occasions where Microsoft is not relevant because you've got a third-party product in place that's doing this for you. So alternative implementation, it's planned, it's out of scope. Then the all-important notes, always fill these in, put in very, very detailed descriptions and updates for what you've done here, what you've planned, and so on and so forth. Testing as well, you can look at testing details, so you can edit here and put in your test status and the test date and notes and additional notes and so on and so forth. Related controls, this is really cool actually. You can view controls that contain this improvement action and the regulation impacted by each control. So you can click on a control for a detailed description. So here we can see privacy and protection of personally identifiable information, PII, is impacted by that. And there's an evidence section as well. You can add evidence here in the form of documents or links that you can put in here as evidence for your processes as you're going through these assessments, not just from a Microsoft portal point of view, but with the bodies that you're working for in order to achieve your certifications, to show these bodies that you are implementing these standards, that you're serious about this, and that you're working towards being accredited with these standards. So really cool stuff indeed. Lots of guidance in here, lots of really cool information which is going to help you to get started on this journey and make sure that your organization is protected. So here we go, back at the main screen now. We're in the assessments. We can see that the status is incomplete. We're 45% of the way through. We've got 10 of 626 completed. We've got 430 out of 450 Microsoft actions completed. So we've got a ways to go on this particular assessment. If we click back into it, we can have a look at one or two other improvement actions that we can potentially look at as examples. And we can filter again by service, by control family, by status. So here we can filter by status on whether it's assessed or passed or risk level, out of scope, etc., etc. Service instances, testing source, manual, parent, or automatic. Here we go. So here, this is what I was looking for. If I filter by automatic, then I can show you some examples here of these controls. So we can see some that have test statuses in place already. So let's pick on something like block legacy authentication, for example. Let's go into that one and have a look at this particular control. And when it opens, let's collapse that. Here we can scroll down and we can see the source is automatic. And then what we get on the implementation side of things here is we get implementation dates and notes, and you can edit those again like you could in the other ones, and how to implement. But then underneath here you get a launch now button, which is going to take you directly into the portal that you need to be in this case conditional access in the Microsoft Azure portal, although really we should be in the Entra portal. Hello Microsoft, Entra is now the way. To where you need to be to create or modify the required conditional access policy to implement that, to block legacy authentication. So yeah, that's going to take you right there to do so. And then when you've put the appropriate controls in place, then you can update the status of that to fully tested and then passed. And as you go along, your score will improve, that percentage will climb up, and you continue to go through all of these and work through them a step at a time. It's something that needs patience and consideration, as I say, but it's going to get you there, and you're going to be all the more secure for it, all the more compliant, and you're going to make those auditing folks very happy when it comes to audit time. And you've got these great governance controls in place in your Microsoft 365 environment. This one here again takes us into global administrator assignments. There we go. Fantastic stuff indeed. Okay, and there we go. That's compliance manager assessments. Really powerful stuff. That's it. Some really good stuff there, don't you think? I'm sure you agree. Microsoft Purview getting better all the time. These assessments are really good. Admittedly, they need to update them maybe a bit more. That ISO 2013 one, the latest version, I would have thought would have been in there by now, but we'll watch out for that. And but there is some very good stuff in there that's going to get you a long way of the way. It's going to help with getting you accredited with these bodies, things like gap assessments and all that sort of good stuff that any organization really worth its salt these days is going to have to be interested in and comply with. Because let's face it, if you're not doing it, chances are your competitors are, and they'll be only too happy to wave that in your target customers' faces and say, well, we've gone to this trouble, we are certified, we are serious about how we handle our data and your data, and so on and so forth. So check it out, really powerful stuff. As ever, I am going to ask you to please hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel more than you know by doing so. I've had so many new subscribers lately. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. It means the world when you hit that button. Equally, when you hit that notifications bell, you are going to make sure that you never miss a video from me when it goes on the channel. If you've liked this video, please drop me a thumbs up, hit that like button, leave me some comments down below. Let me know what your experience is with assessments in Microsoft Purview and Microsoft Purview itself. Check out all my other videos on my Microsoft Purview playlist, which is ever expanding. And finally, thank you to my members. I have members joining the channel now. It's wonderful to have you with me. If you'd like to become a member, if you'd like to support the channel, then there are 3 membership levels that you can consider by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button, and you can see what perks you can get by becoming a member of my channel. So thanks to my existing members, I love you so much. It's a pleasure to have you supporting me this way, and I thank you. Okay, until next time, we'll sign off there, and I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.